Lonzo Ball, sure. You can talk about anything when you're filibustering, but you must remain on the floor. You must remain talking. Guys have opened up the dictionary and read out of the dictionary. Guys have read the phone book when they have been filibustering. And so it is almost unlimited in the debate, and the filibuster can happen. Many bills will die just by a threat of a filibuster. So because they know that a member of the opposing party is going to get up and just waste our time, they will not even bring it up and allow it to go to filibuster because they don't want to sit there through it. And they know it's pointless to waste everybody's time, and it'll never come to a vote. Some people have argued that we need to get rid of this, that it's a waste of taxpayer time. It is. It's pretty funny. But one of the things that we did include here is something called the cloture rule. Cloture is actually a power by which, if you have enough senators, they could force you off the podium. Not literally by force and like drag you off, but they could come to a vote and they could override the filibuster. This has not been enacted very often. It's really difficult to do because of the way the Constitution is written and because the filibuster is constitutional. It's hard to tell somebody you can't continue to talk. And that's just the nature of the way the Senate works. So when this does get put into place, you have to do things in a particular way. It's very precise and really tough to get enough votes. I think you have to have a total of 60 or 67 votes to be able to do that. And because of the way that the Senate is divided, it's really hard. So it does not happen very often there, but it does come into play. There were a couple of senators. There's another video that shows some of the top 5 filibusters in history, and a couple of them went over 24 hours where they just continued talking. And the irony of one of them is he was talking about saving taxpayers money, and that was the point of it, and yet he cost taxpayers over $10,000 that night by keeping Congress open through his filibuster. Kind of crazy. So let's talk about how the president gets involved here. The president's role in all of this is that he can sign the bill into law when it reaches his desk. Of course, it has to pass both the House and the Senate first. Once it passes the House and the Senate, then it goes to the president's desk. If it does not pass both of the two houses, the president never sees it. So he can sign it into law, or he can veto the bill. A veto does have the power to be overridden by a 2/3 vote of Congress. But as Bill explained to you in the song, that's really hard, and it does not happen very often. But this is another part of the checks and balance system where if the president decides, I don't like it, Congress can override him anyway. Now, the president does have a couple of other options besides whether to sign or veto. So if he decides to ignore it, which he does have the power to do, he can just push it off his desk and not sign it, not do anything with it. If Congress is in session and he ignores it, then the bill will pass, even without the presidential signature. Why would he do that? Why not just sign it? Nathan? Yeah, he doesn't want his name attached to it. But he thinks it's good enough that, or he doesn't have a good reason to veto, and so he lets it go ahead and slide, even though he does not want his name assigned to it. That would be a good reason why. On the other side of the coin, we have the pocket veto. Similar idea, but in this case, Congress is out of session. Because Congress is out of session, at the time at which that bill comes across his desk, if he chooses not to sign it, and it is a matter of 10 days that he does not sign it, then it is known as a pocket veto. You think about it like he just took that bill, stuck it in his pocket, forgot about it, and that bill will die. So for the same reason that he wouldn't sign it to put it into law, same reason here why he might not sign the veto and just allow it to die. This also is affected by the timing at which Congress brings it to the president and the strategy involved. So if they know Congress is leaving session, then it's going to have some big impact on the president and what he does with that bill. So sometimes they will strategically place bills on his desk when they're ready to leave, or knowing that they're in session and putting him in a spot where he's got to decide what to do with it. Question?
If a bill is at like a certain point in the process, Congress adjourns, can they just pick it right back up in the session?
Correct. Yeah, so it will just pause and then resume when they get back together. But this part of the process here would be affected if it goes onto the president's desk and then they adjourn. Then it depends on what the president does with it to what happens with it ultimately at the end. Good question.